So you want to dive into Draconym and understand the choices, gambles, and twists of fate in the realm of Akeroth? Well, stick around to master the game. Draconym is a collaborative storytelling game where every role shapes the narrative. Your character is defined by 6 attributes: body, gods, mind, shadow, soul, and world. For every action, a player describes what they want to do, and the herald will determine what 2 attributes fit the challenge, and then you build your dice pool. You gather 6 dice equal to the combined attributes, add any bonuses from perks or equipment, and roll them all at once. You're looking for 5s, which are 1 success, and 6s, which are 2. Let's say you're trying to scale a mystical barrier using both strength and your arcane knowledge. The herald may call for body plus mind, and you're rolling looking for successes equal to or higher than the action's difficulty. There are other types of rolls to keep in mind too. When attacking, you may make an attack or spellcasting check, and if an enemy attacks you, then you'll need to see how well you can defend, making a defense check or magical defense check. These rolls use your character's primary attribute and the relevant modifier from items you carry, such as weapons, wands, or armor. But what happens if you fail? Well, you're given a choice: accept the failure or invoke the shadow die, a 12-sided gamble that could save you or make everything worse. Roll low on the shadow die and you face a dramatic failure with heavy consequence. Roll high and you might succeed beyond your wildest dreams. But here's a catch: every shadow die roll gives the herald shadow marks, a resource they can spend to complicate your story later. They can be spent to introduce narrative twists such as storms or betrayals, add complications to combat such as reinforcements or environmental triggers, or even use powerful enemy abilities. The more you push your luck with the shadow die, the more ammunition you give your herald to make your story dramatic. At the start of each session, and if you accomplish something heroic or tied to the narrative, you may be handed a hero point. This is a resource players can spend to influence the gameplay. You can spend 1 to give yourself or an ally boon, or spend 2 to reroll all your dice when everything is on the line. Boon and Bane modify how your dice work. Boon comes from advantages, good positioning, magical aid, or allies helping you. For each source of boon, a 4 that you roll becomes a success alongside your 5s and 6s. But Bane represents the disadvantages, poor conditions, curses, or being caught off guard. For every source of Bane, one of your 5s gets ignored, making success harder to achieve, but these will stack and cancel each other out. During downtime, players each get a narrative token. These are a storytelling tool that players can use to influence the narrative. You can use them to connect your backstory to a situation at the moment, create a cinematic moment between yourself and another player, or help build a world. These don't let you skip challenges, but allow you to influence the world in a way that makes sense to your story. Perhaps you know an NPC that is going to help you in this scenario, or perhaps you've already experienced this exact scenario in the past and have a way to get through it. As with anything, however, the herald is allowed to respond to this with a twist, secret, or complication that can make your story even better. Perhaps the NPC that you met has a darker secret that you've now uncovered, or perhaps he has ties to the big bad and won't hesitate to betray you after he's done the task at hand. If an enemy makes a physical attack against you, you will make a defense check, and each success you roll will reduce the incoming damage by the number of dice you rolled. So, let's say you rolled 5 dice and get 2 successes, you'll reduce the incoming damage by 10. Should your enemy try and hit you with a spell, you will make a magic defense check, which can halve the damage you take or even negate it completely. Your character doesn't have hit points, instead you have wound tiers and damage thresholds. There are 3 types of wounds: light, heavy, and deadly, each representing how severe the damage you take is. Let's say your character has a heavy threshold of 10 and a deadly threshold of 16. If they take 11 damage, which is equal to or above the heavy threshold, they would mark 1 heavy wound. But if the damage was 9, you would mark 1 light wound. You can take up to 3 wounds of each type. When a tier fills up and you take another wound of the same type, it escalates to the next tier. If you've taken 3 light wounds and then another, it becomes 1 heavy wound and you clear the previous tier. If you leave a wound untreated for too long, they can become the scars, permanent marks that affect your character. But if you take 4 deadly wounds or leave a full track of deadly wounds untreated, that could be the end for your character. Magic in Draconym is flexible and creative. You'll choose a base spell, choosing a technique to determine how it manifests, perhaps a bolt, cone, wall, or sphere, and then spend mana to improve it using augmentations. If you want to cast a spell that hits multiple enemies at once, make it a cone. If you want to make it a sphere that does extra damage, add the add damage augmentation. The magic system adapts to your imagination. You'll manage resources like mana for spellcasting and grit, which are physical abilities, and these regenerate through combat and rest, keeping you active throughout your adventures. At the end of each round, you'll gain 2 mana and 2 grit, and at the end of your turn, you'll gain 4 actions, keeping half of the actions that you did not spend previously. You can take short rests and downtime. A short rest takes 2 hours and removes all light wounds, preventing them from becoming scars, and downtime can represent a full day of rest, healing all wounds except deadly, which require a special activity to treat. And alongside this, you can also take up to 4 downtime actions, which are activities to improve your character or do other things that push the narrative forward. So if you're looking for a game that weaves heroic fantasy with meaningful choices and introduces brand new gambles for your destiny, then perhaps you found it. Pick up your dice, embrace the shadow, and remember that in Draconum, it's not about winning and losing, it's about what makes the best story. Welcome to Akeroth.